Yes guys, good morning. Welcome back to the channel. So I can't remember what day we are on of all this madness, but I have just got an alert on my phone. I'm still out here anyway. Apparently I should be taking cover, but to be honest, those alerts seem to last like half hour and then it's just like, oh, everything is safe and everything is fine. Which luckily enough, still in this area, don't feel like we're having that much of a substantial issue with it, but obviously there are a couple of places being, hit, bombed, whatever you want to call it at the moment, which is not ideal. However, do I have plans to leave at this point in time? No, I don't, but obviously it's a situation that just is ever changing, and to be honest, right now, even though it is all kicking off, this still feels like quite a safe place to be, and certainly a lot more appealing to be in the sunshine here at the moment. That is outweighing being back in the very rainy UK, or as I've heard from a lot of my clients. Today is actually a posterior day. I think I'm going to go and train this session at Binous today, because I usually run this session at Muscle Hut. But I want to go and see what it's like doing the session at Binous. Like, obviously, I still want to kind of keep my Muscle Hut session in on a regular basis, but I am thinking that I kind of want to do a dual cable rear delt fly today, and then maybe change up my lat focus row variation, and maybe just do it on the cables at Binous rather than doing it on the Citadel pull down this week, and just see how I get on. So I'm just going to go with that, and then yeah, we'll see. So despite all the madness, everything is kind of going on as normal. So you can see that, like, obviously all the gardeners are out still doing all their gardens, and then all the construction is still going on. So to be honest, it's probably not a bad thing that it's actually still quite like bustly outside, because then you can't hear the impacts or the interceptions, as they say, overhead as much anyway. You can kind of like hear them every once in a while, but I think night before last was probably one of the worst nights, just because, not worst nights, but we had quite a few alarms going off in the night. So what I did last night, even though we didn't get any alerts last night, I literally just I just put a couple of pillows on my phone, so it wasn't going to be like as abrupt. I am looking forward to training today. I'm actually really like buzzing to get into the gym at the moment. I could just feel like training performance is going quite well. See, sleep last night wasn't great actually, but that's just because I'm going to be due on my cycle soon, and my sleep always goes a little bit topsy-turvy. As a female as well, when you are really into the fitness side of things, I do feel like you get quite in tune with your body, especially with your monthly cycles, etc., and how those affect either whether it's your sleep quality, your training, your digestion. So obviously it's going to be so different for everybody, but what I have found is that for myself, that second half of my cycle, like as I go into my luteal phase, like my sleep gets a little bit disrupted, my digestion is actually all right, but I do have a few clients that their digestion does get quite slow. So that's just something that we are mindful of, just because of course that will see a bit of a shift compared to their sort of normal, as what we would say. But ultimately everything does start to even out, I think, once the cycle actually arrives, and then we head into the better part of our monthly cycle in terms of the second part of the follicular phase, where everything just seems to feel a lot easier. Everyone's just a little bit more motivated, everyone's just got a little bit more energy, and generally training performance is going to go pretty well as well. But that being said, I haven't really noticed that big a drop off with training performance anyways over the past few days, regardless as to maybe sleep just being a little bit choppy the past 2 nights. But we'll see. I definitely feel a bit more watery, a little bit more just a little bit more, I don't know, bleh, I don't know. I think if you're a female watching this, you'll definitely understand what I'm talking about. Yes guys, so just a little walkthrough of my session at Binous. Potentially stick with this session at Muscle Hut, because I really do like the Cybex leg press that I usually use there, and also the Cybex Smith. I think this is the Matrix Smith that they have at Binous, and it very much does give pure gym vibes, which I'm not here for. It's a bit sticky, and it's definitely not like one, but a lot of people don't really like Binous in terms of the atmosphere, but I found that recently, because it's been a bit more quiet, given that there have been a few people go back to home countries recently, it's a bit more pleasant. It's not quite so full on, it's not quite so overwhelming, but it's a little bit more bustly than Muscle Hut is. Not that I don't like the environment at Muscle Hut, I really actually do like the environment at Muscle Hut, and I think that the people there actually are, I feel like almost everyone in there is, they're Brits, so it's kind of like Little Britain. But anyways, you do find that it can be a bit quiet in there, which I like to have. I would prefer a busier gym, I think, over a dead gym, for the quality of my own session. I just feel like I just feel a little bit more like, oh, I'm training. But anyway, session started off with a hip thrust. Didn't do 3 plates on this one because it is a little bit, not so much my upper anymore. So I actually don't log my upper body sessions anymore. I just simply go in and have fun, I enjoy it, but I don't log those sessions. And for lower, I generally will log a lot of my bigger lifts, and especially like keep tabs of things like my leg presses, my hip thrusts, so that I know I'm going in the right direction, but we know that we're not always going to progress every single session anyways, but I do like to still keep an eye on it, versus, let's say, some other exercises, or there are some sessions, full sessions actually, or especially if I'm training elsewhere, I'm changing my session structure for whatever reason, which I'm definitely more open to doing these days now that I'm not so like tunnel vision on that one goal being progressed sort of at all costs. I sometimes don't even log my sessions. I just go in and I enjoy them. If I'm training with someone, training with a friend, I just don't tend to log them. I just like to be present and just enjoy the sessions. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't still keep tabs. I do, but I'm just less meticulous about that side of things. Whereas if I was in a position that I've been before, in a surplus, and then still planning to stand on stage, and it was a matter of like, right, I have X amount of weeks to make improvements on where I'm at, you best bet for years I've logged every single session that I've done without fail practically, unless I'm training in a different environment. So that was like a massive part of my life, whereas obviously now that I'm not competitively bodybuilding, I have got a more relaxed approach, because it isn't as high of a priority to me to be like, I have to progress in this time frame at all costs. Like, I don't really have that set time frame or set timeline anymore, so I can feel like I just have a little bit less pressure. Now, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't think it's really either. It's just where I am at this point in time. If I really wanted to maximize progress, would I be back doing that again? Yes, absolutely I would be, because I just know that you get so much out of it. When you know you're progressing your lifts, it is literally foolproof, absolutely foolproof. So, obviously, I've gone from having a very meticulous mindset around like logging and tracking each session to the point where there have been times where even maybe I've had a bit of anxiety about not being able to do it for whatever reason if I'm training at a different gym, or not wanting to go to a different gym because I have just wanted to stay consistent with the order of my exercise or the type of machines I'm using, and I'm definitely not that way inclined anymore. Like, I've definitely mellowed out a lot, and to be honest, did I need to do that to make incredible progress before? No, I didn't, but it's just the mindset that I ended up getting into because I was so tunnel vision on that one goal. So this is what I always say, is like, I don't look back at that and be like, that was a bad thing, because it got me to where I am now. It got me the muscle mass that I have now, and I'm grateful to myself for that, but it just didn't serve me to have that mindset anymore. And as my goals changed, obviously my approach is going to change a little bit as well. But this is what I always mean, is like, right, if someone really comes to me and say, I want to make the most progress at all costs, or if someone wants to compete, I'm like, right, you've got to keep in mind that you could be competing against people like my past self that are literally getting anxiety about, making sure that everything is super consistent, all the same, logging all my lifts all the time. That, like, literally to that attention of detail, like, that is how I was for years. So, like I said, the physique that I've got now is a reflection of what I've done in the past and the way I used to approach things. But now obviously I've got a lot of the muscle mass that I want. I can kind of take a little bit more of a quote unquote relaxed approach, let's say a bit more of a gen pop lifestyle approach is what I call it, compared to what I was maybe doing before. But anyway, I digress. So I then went on to Bulgarians, and these, I think I've gone through these a bunch of times in YouTube videos before. I'm not going to go through these in too much detail, but those I actually did second exercise after my hip thrusts. Then I went on to this swing leg press. I can't remember the brand. I want to say it's Gymlico, but because that's the one I usually use on a Sunday. But it just allows me to get a bit more range of motion without actually having to put something behind my back, because I'm very, very small and very petite, and therefore I can't get into that last part of the range of motion, so I have to put like a 25 kilo bumper plate behind my back to actually get depth. So with that, I actually didn't have to do that, and I actually felt like I could still get a good bit of hip flexion and extension, like actually close the angle in my hip a lot better without the machine putting me into too much knee flexion, which obviously will see my quads kick in a little bit more. So I actually really like that. Then I went on to this kickback machine, which I don't hate. I finished the leg portion of my session off with this because this is posterior. So I didn't hate it. I actually quite like this one out of all the ones that I've used. I just try not to go into too much knee flexion at the bottom, because again, then it just becomes a little bit more like a quad focused leg press. Try and keep it towards that top part of the movement. So that was like the leg portion of my session done. Then I moved on to the back portion of my session. So I literally just did 3 sets here of lat focus pull down the cable. Do like using the Citadel pull down at Muscle Hut, to be fair. I really do like that one, but can't ever go wrong with cables. Like again, you don't have to have fancy machines to make great progress. You simply just have to do the basics. Really, really pretty straightforward. Literally pulling a bench over, light work, set the cable up fairly high for a pull down movement. I prefer to have these still on a slight angle rather than like being totally like overhead, because I think that it's actually you can get your body in a much better position when it's not like a totally like vertical angle, especially when you're learning how to engage your lats properly. I'll usually never set a straight down overhead vertical pull down for lat work when clients are learning, because I just find it's quite difficult for them to get into the correct positioning to engage their lats well. This is the only lat exercise that I did. I've only got 3 sets here. I don't need my back to grow anymore, and it is simply in just for maintenance at this point in time. So nailed 3 sets of those. So they take a little bit longer anyways, just because they're unilateral. And then I finished the session off with a dual cable rear delt fly, which love these. Don't have 2 cables that I can use at Muscle Hut because they're all like single cables. So that's what I like to make the most of when I'm at Binous, is being able to have these double cables here. And here I'm literally just trying to make sure that I'm focusing on reaching my knuckles forward, dragging the hands, knuckles out and away as I'm bringing them out to the side. I'm not thinking about trying to pinch my shoulder blades together. I'm not trying to see how far back I can get my elbows. I'm simply just focusing on driving the hands out and away. Like that's all you need to really work on, keeping the core nice and tight, keeping the body still, and not overloading weight, because otherwise you're just not going to get connected. I would rather go too light than too heavy with these and just over rep rather than under rep. Okay, so we are back from my last leg session of the week, and I have just ordered myself a little post-workout treat, which is Pinkberry frozen yogurt. It only took like an hour for it to get here, so not too bad, not ideal, because I literally felt I was gonna die. Definitely was on the brink of a hypo, but I also got a little bit of granola as well to put it on top, because I was that obsessed with the granola, the granola that I had on my Pinkberry last time, because they didn't have it as one of the options. So I'm literally gonna put some granola on this now. Oh, what did I get this? It's like Biscoff froyo, banana, strawberries, peanut butter, and little brownie bites. I'm actually buzzing to dig into this. Oh my god, this looks insane. Gotta have a treat every once in a while. Look at that. Beautiful. Glorious. Gonna dig into this. That Pinkberry went down an absolute treat. I actually had a really good session today. It was kind of a long one today, but I did manage to get all my steps in at the gym, so I could literally just get back and chill. There is no better feeling, I think, on a Sunday than getting everything boxed off early. Maybe if you're not dieting or in a prep, get a nice meal in. or a nice little treat in and just chill out for the evening. Like for me, I'm literally just gonna properly reset, put my feet up this afternoon and eat. Well, I say afternoon, it's already like close to 5, I swear. I've just got a little bit, well, I say chill, I've still got a little bit of work to box off and this vlog to edit. However, I definitely want to make a point of switching off really early today, just simply just chilling, watching a movie, maybe getting stuck into a new series. If anyone has any recommendations, please comment them down below because I'm so lost for good series at the moment. So if you know anything on Netflix, please let me know. But I just thought that it would be an appropriate time to kind of be rounding off the vlog whilst I am about to hit my little froyo coma. But I know that I feel like these feel like a little bit boring at the moment. It just feels like a really weird point in time with everything going on. Like I can't tell it. It feels normal, but at the same time it's not. But everyone's just calm, but a bit tense. And yeah, I feel like life goes on as normal, obviously. But I always feel like because I'm in a bit of a maintenance at the moment, there's not really that much to share. So obviously it will just be a bit of my food, a bit of my training, a bit of life here and there. Well, not that I really do all that much outside of work, but it's always good to be able to chat for a little bit longer in longer form content anyways, rather than just like on Instagram. So hopefully you were still able to take a few little tidbits. Is that the word? Tidbits? Surely it's not tidbits. Maybe it's tidbits. Comment below. Hopefully you're able to take a few tips away from this vlog anyway, and a bit of insight into like a bit more of my training and what I'm doing at the moment. But guys, if you are enjoying the vlogs, please like, comment, share and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.